But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. Let me tell you about my great God. Hey guys, Pastor Tim here. Hope you're ready to get your day started off in God's Word. We are beginning a new book today. We are starting in the book of Exodus chapter 1. We're just going on, continuing from the book of Genesis, going right into Exodus. And the first thing we're hit with here, all right, as you've read through the chapter, I think one of the first things you'll notice after it goes through the list of the sons and how Israel, remember when Israel came to Egypt back in the time of Joseph, there was only about 70 people in the family at that time, and now they've grown greatly. They're now over 1 million people strong. All right, but we do notice this one interesting fact in that there is a new Pharaoh who is now ruling over Egypt, and it actually specifically notes that it is one who did not know Joseph. All right, because you might be wondering, how did Egypt get from the point where they have Joseph and he saves them from this great famine? He's one of their greatest leaders at that time, to the point where now they hate Joseph's people. All right, and we see here is because, well, there's a new ruler that comes on the scene, and history seems to dictate that it is from a different family. We also see that in the Bible as well. He's a king, a pharaoh of a different kind. So it obviously isn't of the same lineage of the Pharaoh that was there during the time of Joseph. All right, so he doesn't have the same sentiment towards the Hebrews that family might have had themselves. And we also see here, that he feared the Israelites because of how greatly they were growing. Their number was continuing to increase. So what may have started as just, a cohabitation in the land of Egypt has now grown to a fear of what these people might do. The specific reason he brings up is, well, say we get into a war with another country, they might rise up against us and join our enemies. And then, we'll be like caught on two sides during a battle. So to decide to combat that effort, they're going to enslave the Israelites. They're going to enslave the Hebrews, all right, and have them help build much of Egypt that they see today, or in that day. So they enslaved the Egyptians, they enslaved the Hebrews, but the problem wasn't going away because they were continuing to increase. God is being faithful to the promise he made unto Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and making of their seed a great nation. So they're continuing to grow despite the bondage, despite the servitude. So Pharaoh tries another tactic here, and he tells the Hebrew midwives, all right, whenever a child is born, whenever a Hebrew mother is giving birth to a child, if it is a daughter, you may let it live. But if it is a son, you must kill it. All right, take care of the sons and allow the daughters to live. But of course, as the Bible notes in this chapter, the Hebrew midwives obviously feared God more than man. And as it says in the New Testament, we ought to obey God rather than men, even if that command is coming from authority, in this case from the king of Egypt, from Pharaoh himself. All right, the Hebrew midwives chose that which was better. They chose to obey God, and they brought forth all the kids, boy and girl, alive and well. And of course, they continued to grow, and the Hebrew problem, so to speak, was not being resolved at all for Pharaoh. So now Pharaoh, because the midwives disobeyed him because they feared God, so now he just has to go to his own people, and he says, all right, we're going to go throughout Goshen, we're going to go throughout where the Hebrews live, and we're going to find their children, and if it's a daughter, we'll let her live, but if we find any young boy, any boy baby that we find, we are going to cast into the river. All right, and that's where we kind of leave off in this chapter, and I think many of you are aware, especially if you've grown up in church at all, you know what this is going to lead to. All right, we're going to see the eventual deliverance of Moses, who in the future will be the eventual deliverer of Israel themselves from the land of Egypt. All right, so Pharaoh, although he's trying to destroy the Hebrews, he's been thwarted on every side by God, allowing by the midwives, and as we'll see, by courageous mothers who want to save their children and put their faith in God as well. And it's just an example of how God, even in the midst of the trials we may face, the big obstacles or circumstances, overwhelming things that we may come in contact with in this world, even today, if we stay faithful and obedient to God, God will continue to bless and to lead us and help us navigate these rough waters, so to speak. So that's all I got for today's chapter, guys. I hope you're ready to begin this journey through the book of Exodus with us and daily in the Word. Of course, be faithful in writing things down in your journal. And of course, tell somebody what you got out of God's Word today. Stay safe, stay healthy. God bless.